It's season 2 of the show, it's a university locker room, and it's the Sheepdogs. This is Anyone Can Play Guitar, the podcast for musicians and music lovers that takes you behind the scenes of the music industry. This week is brought to you in partnership with MGR Music. Ever wanted to learn an instrument, hone your skills, or pick up something completely new? You can get so far by yourself, however professional guidance can make all the difference. With a network of tutors right across the UK and rates starting from as little as £15 per hour, visit mgrmusic.com now to get started. Hello and welcome to episode 6666 for our interview with Ewan and Jim of the Sheepdogs, with me James and him
Ben.
So last week we had Lee Fuge, and here is a reminder of that.
Yeah, and that's what I always say to people, is that it should be enjoyable. There should never be a point in the process where you stop enjoying it. I mean, obviously there'll be times where you get frustrated and times, you know, that challenge you and push you, but ultimately you'll still enjoy those times because you know what's coming at the end of it. I think a lot of that stems from not making it a burden on you.
So this week we're chatting, well, you were chatting to Ewan and Jim. So Canadian, have we had a Canadian representation?
Sari Delmar from Concord Records. She's Canadian, from Toronto.
Yes, of course.
And I feel that might be it.
You know how I always think of when I think of Canada?
We do have another Canadian this season, which is Stephen Page from the Bennett Ladies.
Of course, yes.
So he has technically been on, but his episode
hasn't been released yet in full. Yeah, no, good shout. Come on, give me a Canadian fact.
So I've got some Sheepdog facts. These aren't necessarily Canadian facts, but one that we do cover is the law in Canada that 33% of all music on radio has to come from Canadian artists.
That's almost a stat.
Yes. 33%
well
is the stat. And it's also a fact. But yes, the Sheepdog facts, they are from Saskatoon in Saskatchewan, Canada. I love saying Saskatchewan.
I just hope you've pronounced it right.
I think I have. Ewan, who we are talking to today, started the band in 2006 with his brother.
It's got the word toon in there.
Yeah, Saskatoon. So he started in 2006 with his brother, and Jim joined the band in 2015 when they had a bit of a rejiggle. They got a bit bigger as a band as well, so they needed more people on board. They've got 3 self-released albums. That's something we talk about in the episode, self-releasing of music. And 3 label-released music, which is a thing. We talk about record deals and releasing
transition.
Music.
Yeah.
With Jim joining the band, we also talk about joining bands, similar to Justin from Editors. And with them living in Saskatoon, we talk about touring a bit as well, because there's a lot of touring in Canada to get places. First unsigned band to be on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
That is a fact. A pretty impressive one at that.
And at that time, they also played Jimmy Fallon, which is one of the biggest talk shows in America, while unsigned. I don't think it's not as uncommon to play Jimmy Fallon while unsigned, but still, it's pretty. It's a big achievement.
You're not going to turn it down as an unsigned band, are you?
You're not.
No.
And how I discovered the Sheepdogs was on a holiday to Canada, where some of my family live.
Were you roaming the land?
No.
There they were.
And my cousin and her boyfriend are big Sheepdog fans.
Who we're thanking. Who made it happen.
Yeah, we're thanking Ewan and Jimmy, obviously. Rebecca from their management company in New York.
Thank you very much.
And also Mark, the tour manager.
Thank you again.
Yes. And here we go with our chat with Jimmy and Ewan of the Sheepdogs.
Remember, a great way to support the show is to go on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and a review. It really does make a massive difference for the show. Now, on with the episode.
So, welcome to the podcast. We've got Ewan and Jimmy from the Sheepdogs.
Yeah, hey.
In Newcastle. This will be, I think, I might be wrong, your third time here? Because I've definitely seen you in Newcastle twice, at the Clooney and the Academy with Temperance Movement.
Yeah, we played once by ourselves and once with Temperance, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember though.
Well, you tour a lot, don't you?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah. Is this is the first night?
Yeah, we got to England yesterday.
Nice. Well, speaking of which, my cousin who I was talking to about the nacho said he heard you on Ryan Valdron, Classic 98, about 2 years ago. He said you must get around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Is that the radio show in Ontario, I think?
Well, Ontario's got
lots.
Quite a few.
It's got like 15 million people in it, so it's
Classic Rock 98.1 he was saying.
Okay, yeah. Probably get some love on there, yeah.
So yeah, when I was looking into, obviously as a fan listening to your music and stuff, they also got a good story as well that I think could help our audience.
Sure.
So what I want to touch on first is self-releasing albums. So that your first 3 albums, as you know, trying to grow the Sheepdog's big stand, and Learning Burning, they were all self-released. How does that work? How did you find that experience?
Well, we only did that because we didn't have any other option.
Right.
We were Jim. I just want to point out that Jim joined us in 2015, maybe.
Yeah, 3.5 years ago.
So we only self-released because we were just a small-time band playing around Saskatoon, our hometown, and so it wasn't like anyone was knocking on our door to put our record out. So we would just put up our own money in order to record and release records.
Okay.
And so the third of those albums was the first one to get any kind of attention, and that was kind of through persistent efforts of independently funded tours and tours that we would book ourselves.
Okay. And
most of that was based around getting out to Toronto, because Toronto is the London of Canada and the New York of Canada, and it's where all the big entertainment and business and industry is. The downside is that if you were to drive from Saskatoon to Toronto and not stop driving, it would take you 33 hours to get there.
It takes a while, doesn't it?
So it's like driving to Russia or something like that.
Yeah. So did you consider moving to Toronto?
Yeah, we did, but it wasn't. It's much more expensive to live there, and we were already kind of struggling to pay for things as it was, and so it made more sense to kind of stay home and just keep doing these tours, and so we actually did a lot of just sort of honing our chops in the West and playing places and getting better, and it's good because we were pretty crappy at the start, so we had to do a lot of we would work on trying to go to Winnipeg, which is an 8-hour drive away, and try to sell out shows in Winnipeg, and we would sort of keep getting a little bit better, bit better, and so by the time that third record came out, we had kind of got enough road chops that it was like we were ready to start sort of showcasing at those they have those festivals Western Canadian Music Week.
Okay.
It'd be kind of what do you have here in England, whatever down in Brighton and stuff like that.
Yeah, you've got a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, like fringe type of places you can
showcase type of things, right?
Yeah. There's one in Manchester started getting a lot of traction.
Yeah,
a lot of big bands there actually.
Yeah, that's kind of doing those things, but.
So the self-release. Oh, I did have a question written down. Would you recommend it? But I suppose you didn't really have much of a choice, as you already said. So, what were the things that you did that worked well? And what were the things that you would say to another new band to just try to avoid that? What were the things that the pitfalls maybe?
Well, I think that it was good for us to do all the things on our own that we did because we didn't have much choice, like I said, but we learned a lot from doing those things. Because we had to do everything from, doing our own accounting and booking our own tours and driving our own van and we did every little thing ourselves, and so you learn how to do that stuff. And so later on, when you pay people to do it, you have an idea of kind of what goes into that. I should also point out that at the same time that we were doing all these things with our Sheepdogs band, that Jim was also doing them in a very different way with his own solo career.
Right.
Yeah, that's true too.
So were you parallel in your timelines with the Sheepdogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty similar, eh?
Yeah.
I think my record came out like a year before.
Right.
My first record. And
Yeah.
I guess my first 3 were independently released too,
Okay.
and did that whole thing.
Are you from the same area as well? Yeah.
No, I'm from Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah,
Okay.
so about an hour east of Toronto.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to work out where that. Is that like Hamilton area?
Hamilton's west.
Right.
So it'd be like Cobourg,
Okay.
sort of.
On the way to Ottawa, Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because my family are South Toronto, like
Yeah.
Brantford and
Yeah,
London.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Other way.
Yeah, the other way.
Yeah. But the same distance the other
Yeah,
way.
everything's the same distance.
Yeah.
So, what was the decision to join the band? Who approached who, and
I guess I was approached by the band.
Mhm.
The guitar player at the time left.
right?
Went home during a tour, and I guess he kind of needed.
We needed someone right away.
Yeah.
And our guitar tech was a friend of Jim's.
Okay.
Yeah.
He called him and we actually flew him down to Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, around Halloween time,
Right. Okay.
2015.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense to when I saw you the last 2 times you were here, because you would join the band. at
He had
that
just
point.
come on.
Yeah. So what was it like? Because we've spoke to Justin from the band Editors, and he was brought in because their guitarist left. What was it like being essentially the new kid in class?
It was pretty wild,
Yeah.
because I had probably a night or 2 to learn as much
Okay.
material as I could, and then we had the luxury of having 2 rehearsals before, so
Okay.
it was all very fast moving,
Mm-hmm.
But my band was kind of like a 70s rock band as well.
Right.
A little more in the blues realm,
Okay.
but it was kind of a similar thing. So it felt pretty natural. I fell in very naturally, and
That's good.
Yeah.
So at that point, you would have already moved to a major label, or not an independent release anyway. By yourselves.
This is this is 2015, so yeah, we jumped ahead a bit, but
It's So moving from self-released albums to having a label, obviously the benefits are you take a lot of work off yourselves and you can do what you love doing.
Sure.
What are the positives, which might be that, and the negatives though? I don't want to stick it to the labels of it because that's not what I do, but like there must be some, like maybe creatively or how much control you have, that you would say to younger bands or new bands to try and avoid, or...
Well, I think that when we were starting our career, we were still very much under the impression that the goal of a band, in terms of the success, was that you would sign with a label, and that if you were able to do that, then it was sort of like everything was great. Your album would be released in shops, and you'd be on the radio, and you'd have a tour, and you would just be in that world. But it kind of, I think, when we started seriously touring, it was about 2006 and 2007, and it's really like sort of the industry was just kind of reeling from the whole online nobody downloads music for everyone downloads music for free kind of era, and so I think that I would recommend that young bands learn to do as much of what as they can of sort of the business and the practical side before they entrust somebody to pay to do it, because then you know what needs doing and what has to get done, because if you don't, you could really be getting taken for a ride, and Lord knows there's a long history of management and labels and taking artists for their money. But we have since actually gone through an up and down relationship with our management, and now we're self-managed. Ryan, our bass player, has taken on that role.
Oh, really?
And label-wise, we're still with Warner Music in Canada, but we're sort of in the process of potentially looking for new partners outside of Canada.
Right. Okay. So I'll just use one more question around that time, and then we'll probably wait for 2 years. So one of the big stories, obviously, if you search Sheepdogs on Google, is the Rolling Stone cover.
Yeah.
And is it the first and only, or is it still just the first unsigned band to be on the cover?
Well, I haven't really kept up with Rolling Stone since, but
I'm not too sure.
I imagine that we were the whole shtick was that it was like they had a big pool of unsigned bands, and then a competition to see who was going to be the cover band, and we won it. So that was the whole thing, was that it was unsigned bands. But that was 2011. It was a big shot in the arm for our career.
And that was around the time of I don't know, wasn't it? About similar type of time, and that was the song that I'm assuming you played on Jimmy Fallon and stuff like that.
It was, yeah.
So, what was it like? I'm not entirely sure of the time scales, but on the Friday you were doing what you were doing, and on Monday this comes out. How much does it change? Does it change quickly? Does it explode?
As soon as the competition was announced, and they had announced that there were 16 contestants kind of in a tournament, all of a sudden we were very much in demand, especially on a press thing. We were going to New York to do various parts, various photo shoots and performances. We started to get added to festival bills in Canada. We were sort of struggling to pay bills prior to that, and we were still working jobs in Saskatoon. So it was a very big change. It wasn't like all of a sudden we had big fat bank accounts and we're doing any tour dates we wanted, but it was certainly a ton of publicity and an opportunity. So it was very good.
That's cool. And at that point, did you know the Sheepdogs at the time, or is this the kind of introduction to the band as well for yourself?
I didn't know him personally, but of course,
Tech for
on the radio. I tech for them one time when they backed up Paul Rogers, actually.
Right, for real?
That band company,
Yeah. Oh, don't tell my mum that she loves Paul Rogers.
Oh yeah.
That's who.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. He still got it.
Yeah, he does. He lives in Canada too.
He's in Canada now.
Yeah, he's in the West Coast.
Really?
In the interior of BC.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you've got your solo stuff at the time and obviously a backing band, what's it like now being part of the gang, being part of the touring band that is the Sheepdogs and making records and?
It's great. I mean, the creative process is a whole lot of fun. Pretty proud of the record that we made.
Is this then
the Changing Colors? Yeah. That was a great process. Yeah. And I mean, everyone gets along. It's a lot of fun hitting the road, and we do it a lot. We're working hard.
There's a lot of dates on the book, so
it's very enjoyable,
Yeah. How is the process now for the albums? Is it a collaborative thing? Do you concentrate on lyrics individually, or how does it work for you as a band?
Well, Ewan's the primary writer,
and
then we all contribute things, here and there.
That's good.
We're sort of experimenting with different ways to do it too. We're doing a little more collab, and me and Jim and Seamus, my brother, and sometimes we get together and rehearse and jam ideas, and we haven't really quite delved into this new record that we're going to make after this touring run. We're still kicking around some ideas, but we just haven't really had the time to delve in because we've been on the road so much. But we're just sort of not trying to have any rigid rules about things and just be open-minded.
A lot of people have said that. I spoke to Jim Atkins from Jimmy Eat World yesterday, and he was saying that similar thing of no rules is a good thing.
Yeah, you can't force it. It just has to flow.
It's got to be natural.
Yeah.
This week is brought to you in partnership with MGR Music. Ever wanted to learn an instrument, hone your skills, or pick up something completely new? You can get so far by yourself, however professional guidance can make all the difference. With a network of tutors right across the UK and rates starting from as little as £15 per hour, visit mgrmusic.com now to get started. So, charity of the week, Ben.
Yep.
Here we go. Let's hear from the lads.
Well, we just came from our Juno nominations in Canada, where they announced we got 2 nominations this year, and but the part and parcel of the Junos is MusiCounts, which is a organization that looks to give young students a chance to play music and get instruments and that kind of thing. So obviously that's a good thing to give kids a chance to sink their teeth into some music and keep them engaged and maybe get them a chance to do the very thing that we get to do for a living.
So if you want more information on MusiCounts, I like the whole getting instruments to kids. I think it's really good. So you can go to musicounts.ca on the web.
Yeah.
Now, on with the episode.
how does it feel for yourself if you were your solo art? You were the man when you were a solo artist.
Yeah.
How different is it to be part of a collaborative process now?
Well, I would collaborate as well when I was doing my solo thing with lots of different folks.
Yeah.
You know? So co-writing's not a strange thing to me at this point. You know, I don't know. I guess I had the main say when it was my thing, and you know, it'd be a lot more guitar solos for sure. But it's not entirely different, really. You know, you're just writing with good people that are like-minded, and you know.
So one of the things that we're going to focus on in the next season of the podcast is a little bit more on social media, because obviously it's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's your relationship with social media? Is it something you enjoy, or is it just an unnecessary evil?
It's a little both, I guess. I mean, I'm not a huge fan personally, but I mean, I do utilize a little. I go on Twitter for news, but then I just get angry, and so I have to log off. But you know, Ryan, you should almost talk to Ryan, our bass player, because he's as our kind of manager. He's very in tune with it, but it's obviously very important because we don't want to be one of those bands that just sits back and goes, oh, you know, musicians getting screwed because online and anyone can download anything and streaming sites pay nothing, and I mean. It's true, but there's lots of opportunities, I guess, with the changing technological landscape of music, and so you can. There's different ways to promote your band, and obviously, social media gives you all these various outlets. And I guess it comes down. I think what Ryan would say would be it all comes down to doing it in your own way, and so, we try to have fun with it. Like we post silly videos of me and Jim playing acoustic guitars before shows, warming up, acting like hillbilly idiots.
It's good to have a sense of humor. I think that's very important because it's more personal to you.
Yeah, I would agree.
And it's still whatever we do is all about the music. Like we're not just in this to be famous or try to get rich or anything. We're in it because we genuinely love music, and so whatever we do social media wise, it's just to try to get people to listen. And it could be as simple as we have these little printout. Lithograph pattern Sheepdogs things that we're giving to folks at the shows here that kind of promote our music. So you take it home and you get on the back side you can find a link to hear all our stuff and just trying to get use it to get people to listen to the music because that's what it's all about.
Cool. So one of the things I find really interesting about Canada and Canada music or Canadian music is the radio and CanCon or MAPL as it's known. I read it today just to check my figure because I thought it was 33, but apparently it's 40% of all music played
Canadian.
Has to be Canadian. So what is your relationship like with radio? I know we spoke earlier about classic 98.1 and I heard you a lot on FM96 in London, Ontario.
Yeah, for sure.
Taz and Jim and all them love playing the Sheepdogs.
Yeah, you know more about the radio than we do.
Well, I just love that channel. I get it on the phone now, so it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's huge for Canadian artists, obviously.
Obviously.
Canada is good at supporting its own bands, and it's interesting because there's a lot of bands in Canada that are sort of household names, and the obvious famous example is the Tragically Hip, who the lead singer passed away last year. It was a massive, sort of. It was like a member of the royal family passing away or something. Like it was a big national story.
But of course,
of course, outside of Canada, they're not, exactly superstars. But Canada has supports its bands very well.
So how do you interact with the radio yourselves? Then do you basically give back? Well, I'm sure you do, but you give back as much as you can to either supporting other artists or. Here, can you come in for an interview? Can you do a little session or anything like that? Yeah,
well, FM96 is very good to us, and so we go if we were in London, which we're going to be potentially for the Junos coming up in March, which is sort of the Canadian Grammys, I guess.
Yeah.
Or Grammys,
yeah. Well, Ben and Ladies got honoured last year, didn't they?
What's that?
Ben and Ladies got honoured last year.
Yeah. What would yours be? The Brit Awards or something?
Brit, well, but technically yes. But with Brits, it's an advertising thing now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What is it? It's all.
Yeah.
But the FM96 will go in and do live performances and preview singles, and there's lots of good radio stations in Montreal. We just did a thing with Show FM who really support us, and
we did a pop-up show there last year.
Yeah, at the end of our tour. Radio's big because, especially for rock and roll, it is still very tied to rock and roll and promotes it. Even though you hear a lot of things talking about the death of radio and the rise of the internet, there's a lot of people that drive their cars and listen to the radio and buy tickets and go to shows, and it's still very influential.
Yeah, well, I think FM96 still do that win it all at the Bud Gardens, where you win every ticket for a year. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they still do it right, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think we do it as well at the minute.
The 90s never died.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just conscious of time there. We're hitting the 20-minute mark or so. So one more thing, and I've got a couple of quick fire questions, just more light.
Sure.
So obviously we've spoken about self-released, yourself as a solo artist coming together and playing and touring, social media and the radio. What was it like? I'm kind of off the timeline a bit here. Sorry. Working with Patrick Kearney of the Black Keys.
It was interesting. That was really at the height of the Black Keys' power. They were they were on the cover of Rolling Stone. They were headlining, arenas around the world. And they were the headliner at Coachella the next year, and so it was interesting being in that world. They were very, Pat was a cool guy, and he's very funny and fun to work with. He was very conscious of trying to craft us in, I don't want to say necessarily their image, but certainly in a way that would get radio spins, or maybe like a big thing at that time, and it's since kind of died down, but it was licensing for commercials and television and film, because that's where a lot of the money is, and he was very good at doing that. I think on a personal note, I felt that, because I've produced all our other records, I felt that it was a tough experience for me, because I had to give up control, and something that Pat, he didn't like guitar solos or harmonies, and so I was kind of like, well, that's kind of what I want our band's character to be, and so, but that the singles from that album had a lot of success, and we definitely owe him a debt of gratitude for that.
Because that was the Sheepdogs, wasn't it? That's right, the 12 album.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what I'd like to do now is in this season is to just have a bit more of a quick fire questions, just to get to know a bit more. So, to both of you, it might be a different song, it probably will be. Which song ever would you wish you'd written? Now, every time I ask a songwriter, I always get this response.
Yeah. I don't know who has that chambered right away. I guess I do really. I would go either Allman Brothers' Blue Sky, written by Dickie Betts, or Walk On by David, Hal David and Burt Bacharach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Burt Bacharach can write a tune, can't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's a man.
Call yourself, Jim.
I'd say probably Tears of Rage by the band.
All right.
And that's just an amazing song.
Who wrote that? Robbie Robertson?
Yeah, exclusively. Yeah, that's a whole other argument. We won't go there.
Yeah, it's not getting legal problems.
Yeah.
So the second question is, what artist made you want to become an artist?
I don't know. I mean, I just always grew up loving music. I think probably I heard a lot of Stevie Wonder in my household. And that was kind of I don't know if that really necessarily made me want to be, but that's definitely influenced me. But the Beatles are the greatest band, and they really kind of inform sort of that combination of rock and roll spirit with super creativity and artisticness. Sort of that kind of has always never left the forefront of my mind.
Yeah. And the band is huge for me too.
Yeah. I'm going to feel
one of the biggest.
Robbie Robertson, right?
Yeah.
So one of the bands that made me want to pick up the Thomas Matthew Hood band. Still.
Oh, Canada.
Oh yeah.
Still
Right.
good.
Yeah.
That band. That Beautiful Midnight is Still one of my favourite albums.
Yeah.
I was big on that Underdogs record.
That was done before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, with...
Everything is automatic.
Yeah, automatic was
Apparitions.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a great story about Matt Good. Can I tell that?
Of course you can, yeah.
We were playing a festival with him one time, and he was playing after us, and after him was City and Color, which you guys probably know over here.
Mm-hmm.
And during Matt Good's ending his set with Apparitions, and as he's playing the song, I guess the changeover between bands was tight, and City and Color's crew is already setting up their like big rigging for lights and production, and so he's trying to play this poignant song, but meanwhile they're kind of like killing it by putting up all this like rigging and everything, and so he's singing on the mic and then turning his head to scream off like in between lines, so he's going apparitions, turns his head away, just like screaming apparitions. It was just like, it was amazing.
Both sides of the music industry right there.
He's an intense guy, but he's committed to his craft. So.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah. Third one is, what was the first album you ever fell in love with?
Steppenwolf's 16 Greatest Hits.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Steppenwolf are Canadian as well, aren't they? Yeah.
The singer was.
Yeah, partially Canadian.
But,
we take it. I'll go with like Soundgarden, Super Unknown. That was
okay.
Like
Black Hole Sun.
Yeah. Spoon Man.
First gig you ever went to?
I saw our Canadian band, Our Lady Peace.
Our Lady Peace,
Yeah, play at a hockey arena, and my main takeaway, no offense to the guys in Our Lady Peace, but it was that the sound was terrible.
Right.
Because it was in a big hockey arena.
Yeah. I've only seen them once. They were supporting Stereophonics.
Oh yeah.
20 years ago now.
Oh yeah.
And I really did dig them because, again, I've got this Canadian connection.
Yeah.
But again, the sound was rubbish, and I just don't think it helped them because a lot of people go, just put the phonics on. I was like, no, this is good.
Yeah.
This is really
That's
good.
too bad, eh?
Yeah. And
yeah.
they did Superman's Dead, and that kind of got the place going a little bit because
that was a huge. They sold 1 million albums in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a venue in London we played a long time ago, and I remember there's a plaque commemorating Our Lady Peace playing there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a slam on it because it was like Our Lady Peace sold 1 million copies of Clumsy in their home country of Canada, and performed here in blah 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 1997. Unfortunately, most of the success remained in Canada. I was like, why would you put
put
that
it on a plaque?
Yeah. Jesus. Like,
For it yourself, Jim.
Mine was Widemouth Mason.
Saskatoon.
Yeah. And they rock too. Trio, you know.
Okay.
It was a fantastic show. Widemouth Mason.
I might check them on there.
They're from our hometown of Saskatoon, so that's
And the last one.
no wonder you had the blues there.
Is what is the best bit of all of this of your job career?
Going up on stage every night.
Yeah.
And rocking out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I think it's just, you have to remind yourself sometimes, but very grateful for, sometimes I remember back when I worked at other jobs and I'd be like, I gotta go work. I have 8 hours of doing whatever it is, and someone telling you what to do, and you're looking at the clock, and it's just great to just be for a living, writing songs, recording songs, singing songs, entertaining. But people come and tell you that they love your music and what it means to you. It's just like so amazing because you're growing up listening to tunes is just, music is everything. So to be that to other people is just incredible.
Cool. That's really good.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy Newcastle tonight.
Yeah.
With Suns, I'm sure you will.
Should be a good one.
Yeah, should be. Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
So I liked hearing about their transition.
Yes.
It's, I would say, a unique story that they've got, particularly the way that it all sort of happened for them.
I also like the fact that they are essentially a rock and roll band still making music. They're still playing vocals, guitars, keyboard, drum. I've got nothing against any other type of music, but I just quite like the fact that there's almost like this 70s style touring band, your Canned Heat, for example, are still making music that people listen to, and it's still good, and it's still got a place.
What I liked about their story is that yes, a lot of things came into place.
Yeah.
And like any band, they got a few breaks and that sort of work, but they were ready.
Yes.
When it came. They'd sort of, I think, as they said, they'd learnt their chops. And when it came to expanding and playing bigger venues, they were already tight.
Mm-hmm. They are a very tight band.
Yeah, I like that. There's a lot to be said about really learning your craft and getting good and being ready for when that moment comes. It'll happen sooner for some bands, it'll take a long time for others, but they were ready to seize the opportunity.
Seize the moment. And I'll put some of that tightness online because I've got some videos from the Clooney gig on my phone. So,
right.
Yeah, that was a good gig. So loud in the Clooney because it's just a mint venue.
Another true fact.
Yeah.
So, next week, Ben.
Quickly before we go to our next week, thank you again to Ewan, Jimmy, Rebecca and Mark. That was fantastic.
Indeed.
But next week, yes, James, who are we going to say we have?
We have Natty and Sam of Fickle Friends.
We do indeed.
It's nice being around lots of people who were in bands and in music and people you know who show up to your gigs and stuff when you were first starting out.
All of the show notes for today's episode can be found at acpgmusic.com, along with our back catalogue of episodes. If you like what you hear, or perhaps have some improvements or specific guests you'd like us to consider, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at info@acpgmusic.com or hit us up on social media. Keep supporting upcoming artists, and we'll catch you next time.